Let me kind of walk you through the debate. I know everyone in here has seen all these Sweet Home Alabama ads. How could anybody be against something called Sweet Home Alabama? Let me tell you why it did not pass in the Alabama Senate a couple of weeks ago. Has everyone read the bill? Now, I was in Congress. For 6 years, I've been in the governor's chair for 7. This is without a doubt the most corrupt piece of legislation I've ever seen in my life. This literally will give a monopoly, unfettered, unregulated monopoly to 5 people in the state of Alabama. 5 people who came together in Paul Hubbard's office about 1.5 years ago. And they sat down and divided up the state. And they said, you will have a monopoly over this part of the state of Alabama, divided up your state, and basically gave a birthright. A birthright that goes on forever, that they will never have competition. They will never have to compete against each other or against anyone else. But that's not the insidious part of this. When I said it's 5 people, I've tried for 1 year to find out who the 5 are. I know who 2 are, but I don't know who the other 3 are. And I guarantee you, no one in this room knows who they are. Every reporter has asked, no one can find out. How can we ever get to the point in this state that we're going to give an absolute monopoly to anyone in the state for any reason, but to give it to someone you have never met or don't even know who they are? This is the most blatant piece of corrupt legislation that has ever come before the people in this state. This time, they say, just let the people vote. Fine with me. But you need to understand what you're voting on. When you say just let the people vote, understand what you're voting on. I've been in Montgomery for a while now. I have never seen this much pressure on the senators and representatives as there is now. There are people out there today that have literally billions of dollars at stake. But this is not about gambling. If I ask the people in this room to raise your hand if you support gambling and don't support gambling, I'll bet you it's about 50-50. I don't know if I can say I'll bet you. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about giving someone a license to do business in the state of Alabama, to have a casino in the state of Alabama. And for that license, you would pay up to $200,000 to have a license forever. Well, license similar to that in other states, in Maryland, in Pennsylvania, are going anywhere from 30 to 40 to 50 million dollars. We're going to do it for 200,000. We're going to have this birthright for a group of people. Why? What's the obvious answer? Because of the political influence of the people that are there. If what they're doing is not illegal, why change the law? Why change the law for something that they say is permissible? They know it's illegal. We know it's illegal. Now, a lot of people will say, well, it's just bingo. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many times you've ever played bingo, but anybody that can play a full game of bingo in 4 seconds, that's quick. They're slot machines. They're slot machines that have been banned in the state of Alabama for 100 years. Get on the internet, read the bill, and then ask yourself, how could anyone ever support such a bill? Ladies and gentlemen, you can't legalize something that corrupts the state. So when you hear, let everyone vote, I don't have a problem at all with that. America was founded upon the principle that you should be able to vote. Whether I agree or don't agree, and this is not a religious motive, this is not a moral belief, this is about whether, but let me be very explicit. When someone talks about gambling as an economic development tool, I don't think you could be any farther off base. And if you don't believe it, go talk to Jim Gibbons in Nevada. Look right next door at what's going on in Mississippi. If this is a panacea, if this takes care of all of our problems, go explain that to Haley Barbour. This is about whether or not we're going to change this state and the influences in this state for a generation. Demand out of every one of your legislators to understand what they're voting on. Demand that they explain to you why they would give anyone a monopoly. Demand to know why other states get 50% of a, quote, handle, Alabama gets 25%. License fees of $200,000 rather than $20 to $50 million. Ask yourself, how did we ever get to this point? Now, if you want it, you have the right to vote on it. But never, ever let someone, because of what they're worth or the political influence they have in Montgomery, be able to develop something for themselves and their families forever that you will never be able to control. That's what's at stake.